Hey. Guys, I'm sorry. I lied to you in the last video. I said I would be so much better about making videos and content, and I just didn't, And we hate that for you guys. And granted, I'm definitely not sitting here saying I'm gonna be better, because we already know it's just not the case. But I did want to pop on and give you a little bit of a life update, a little more information on CCAT, which I know I've gotten so many requests about that I promised that I would make a video about, and I actually did record a video, probably like right after I went through CCAT training, and I never uploaded it because I hate editing. So I feel like I'm going to ask one of the new airmen that's here that's apparently really good with editing to help me with my video. We'll see. If he does, I'll give him a shout out. Anyway, what's up, guys? So, where do I even begin? Honestly, the last time I gave you an update, I think I had just PCS to Andrews, which was, almost 2 years ago now? It's so crazy to think about that I haven't popped on and just done anything for you guys, and so much has happened since that time. And so I'm pretty sure right after that video was posted, I started all of my COVID deployments, right? It was right in the middle of COVID. I had just moved to the NCR, which is the National Capital Region, and I was just getting settled, and I was, super bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I went through all my CCAT training, got that done, and then right after my family vacation in August, I was tasked with my first FEMA tasker, which for those of you who are unfamiliar with that, basically it was during COVID, the DoD was helping support civilian hospitals all over the country with all kinds of medical support. So we basically embedded into a civilian hospital as staff. And so it was such an amazing opportunity. I met so many people. I would go on from there to do 2 other FEMA taskers. My original one was in Dothan, Alabama. Love those people with all my heart. And then I went to Fort Collins, Colorado. And then from there, I went to Monroe, Louisiana. And during that time, I actually got tasked as well on top of all of those deployments with my first CCAT deployment, which I'll get into a little bit. So yes, I had a very, very busy last year and some change. So that's probably why I haven't updated you so much, and I wish, I had given this a little bit more attention, but I do what I can, guys. But yeah, so I just want to say thank you so much for anyone that has, tuned in, watched my videos, given me good feedback. I really do appreciate you guys and how supportive you've been. And, I hope that any information that I give to you is helpful. I definitely don't pretend by any means to be the source of information. All I can do is give you guys the information from my perspective, and hopefully it helps somebody going forward. So, I appreciate all the feedback. I appreciate all of the positivity, and I hope that, any of my information helps you guys in your Air Force career. So after, so I'll get back to basically the life update, right? So I went to Dothan. I was there for 60-some days, and then I came back for a week. I got retasked for another tasker. We went to Fort Collins, Colorado. I worked in the ICU there. Then I came home for the holidays, and I got retasked to Monroe, Louisiana, and so I was there for 30-something days. I came back. Then I had to go to California because the CCAT deployment was requiring a certain training called the NPC training, which is the negative pressure Connex. You guys can look it up if you're unfamiliar with it. It's basically just a giant Connex box that they put, they made a negative pressure so that they could transport COVID patients or any airborne disease that could potentially contaminate the plane. So we went to that training in California. That was 4 or 5 day training, I believe. And then I came home, and then in April I deployed CCAT. So CCAT was amazing. It was everything that I had hoped it would be and more. I love flying. I love being a part of, the big Air Force and being able to see the flight line and the air crew and just meeting all the AE folks, the aerospace medical evacuation crew that flies with CCAT. They always fly with CCAT. All of the people, all of the leadership there, like, it was just the most amazing experience that I cherish so much. We got to fly a bunch, and partly because of COVID, there was a standing agreement that CCAT would fly with all of the missions that would go downrange just in case something were to happen. However, about halfway or maybe a little bit more than halfway through my deployment, they basically said, like, COVID is phasing out and you guys aren't needed on every flight. So it then transitioned from us being on every flight to us being on just the CCAT needed flights, and that was fine. I did get a lot of cool experience while we were flying on all the downrange missions because I was able to learn the aircraft a lot better. The thing with CCAT is, typically we only fly if there is a CCAT patient. There's not always a CCAT patient going out of these different areas. And so when you're flying and you're also dealing with, patient care, the priority is not to learn how to configure the aircraft. The priority is your patient. And so I feel like I was very fortunate to be given that opportunity to be able to learn the aircraft without having to maintain a patient at the same time, and to be comfortable on the plane and being able to help my AE counterpart with whatever they needed, as well as, being able to do my job. So, I always say knowledge is power. And so I just feel like I'm very fortunate to have given that opportunity. So, and then I got back from my CCAT deployment in October, and the whole time in Germany, like, we, when we weren't flying, we did have a little bit of leeway where we could travel. So that was really nice. Basically European summer, it was fantastic. I went all over. I went to Amsterdam. I went to, places in the Netherlands. I went to Brussels and other places in Belgium. We went to France. We went to Paris in France. We saw the Statue of Liberty that's over in France. We went to Switzerland a bunch of times. We got to go to Oktoberfest in Munich. So, like, so many places that we got to see and do and experience, and I really embedded myself into, European culture, and it was amazing. I couldn't even fund that if I wanted to do that on my own, because it's so expensive, and the military gave me such an amazing opportunity to be able to do that. So that is definitely one of the things that you can't put a price on, because how else would you get that? I mean, I guess you could travel and do classes abroad, or I don't know how that works. I wasn't a college kid, but I know people do like semesters abroad. Maybe do that, but this is the closest thing to like anything like that. So I definitely was super fortunate to spend my summer. And on top of it, I got deployed with one of my best friends, which was incredible. Like, people would always ask us, how the heck did you guys manage to get deployed together, me and Jordan? And we're like, the Air Force just wanted us to be together, experiencing this together. So not only did I get deployed in like the most beautiful and awesome deployment, but I also got deployed with my best friend to be able to experience that together. So super special, something I hold very dear to my heart. And, I look back on these pictures and I have all these videos and so many fond memories. So that is definitely, I would say, one of the more amazing things in my career that I've been given, the opportunity that I've been given with CCAT. So Then I got back in October, it was sad for me. It was sad for me to leave. It was a culture change because I had just acclimated basically to European way of life. And I was sad to come home. I mean, obviously, right? But I was also ready in a certain sense because life in Europe is very different. You know, they have different prerogatives, they have different values, and their level of convenience is not the same. So basically, like, if you were sick and needed medicine at 9 p.m., that wasn't really an option because everything's closed. Or they would have German holidays that they're just closed on, and you know, if you're not German, you don't know, I guess. So we would show up to places or restaurants or something, and they would just be closed. And you're like, what the heck? And everything closes really early because they value people's lives outside of work, which is nice, of course, for their employees, absolutely. But when you come from being in the United States and having convenience, right? Like if you want like a pancake at 2 a.m., you're just like, okay, I can do that. I can go to any diner and go get a pancake. That's not the case at all in Europe. Like they would look at you like you're crazy. There's no 24-hour anything except for McDonald's. And that's not even 24 hours. That closes at like 2 a.m., I think. But definitely a different culture. And so while I was super sad to leave, I also was kind of ready to come home as well. But I was sad to be leaving my CCAT people and my AE crews because you just meet a lot of cool people in the military. You meet a lot of cool people when you're deployed together. You always have camaraderie and like people around you. And so when you don't have a family to come home to of your own, you tend to feel a little bit more isolated when you're home because I go home to, you know, an apartment. But coming home was also great because I would soon find out after that I would tested for staff sergeant and I made it. So that was exciting. I definitely didn't think I was going to make it, to be completely honest. It was a shock for me when they told me that I had made it. And, you know, unfortunately, it doesn't necessarily change the direction of what I plan to do, which is basically to get out of the military and either go into the reserves or separate completely. And so my contract ends, it's February now, my contract ends in June. My 4 years is already up. So it's crazy for me to think about, you know, life outside the military and what that looks like. And so I feel like for me, maybe serving in just a different capacity, you know, maybe not active duty, being able to choose where I want to live, but also still staying connected to the military in some way, I think that probably would better fit my stage in life right now because, you know, I want to be able to choose where I live, and that's not necessarily active duty. You know, you can't really get that. You can try to finesse, you know, a base of preference or things that, you know, the military does to try to stay in one place. Base of preference is typically what you do, right? You would basically apply for a base of preference, but in place so that you don't generate orders somewhere else. Unfortunately, I actually did generate orders to Elmendorf, but I will not be going to Elmendorf. I'm just not an Alaskan girl. I just don't. I could never see myself going somewhere so cold and dark, and I know it's beautiful. I know there's so many beautiful pictures of northern lights and like the wildlife and the hiking, and it's beautiful. It's such an outdoorsy, gorgeous place. It's just so far isolated from my family who's in the Northeast region, and family's everything for me. I got so fortunate that I was stationed at Andrews for, you know, the amount of time that I was because I was able to just drive home whenever I wanted. Granted, I know a lot of people join the military and they're like, I don't want to be home. I don't want to be anywhere near my home. I want to go experience, and that's awesome. fantastic. I am so happy for you. And when I left, initially, I was like, I can get stationed anywhere. I never wrapped my head around wanting to kind of be at an arm's length or be close enough to my hometown where I could just come home whenever I wanted. That wasn't something that I went in thinking this is my goal, because it's not a realistic goal. I just happened to be very lucky to get orders to Andrews, and they're close to my home. So definitely had to be realistic with joining active duty that I probably wasn't going to get stationed close. And then with the luck, basically, I did. So, and I'm very fortunate that I did, because I was able to still attend a lot of things. My family's very close. I have a bigger family and we do a lot of things together. We always have birthday parties for everyone's birthday, no matter how old you are. And so it was super important for me to stay local so that I wasn't missing things like that. And I was given that opportunity. So, and I always say, like, at this point in my career, I feel like I've done every single thing that I have wanted to do. I've accomplished everything I wanted. The military has given me so many opportunities. I've traveled all over the world, all over the country. I've met so many amazing people. I've made incredible friends, and I could not be more fortunate for the experience that I've had. I wouldn't trade it for the world, and I would tell anyone that is apprehensive to do something like this, like, you are so much stronger than you even could ever imagine. And the military does really breed a level of, like, resiliency that you don't necessarily get with, you know, your civilian counterparts. I mean, you go through a lot of things that, you know, people in the civilian side couldn't even fathom, you know, and it's just because of the opportunities you're given and because of the environment that the military breeds, you know. So I'm so fortunate to have had such an amazing enlistment, and hopefully, you know, when I cross over to the reserve side, there's still a lot more CCAT to be flown. Is that the right word? And I don't have to necessarily give up that piece of it, because that's, I think, where my heart is. It's flying CCAT, being able to transport patients that really, really need a higher level of expertise. And so I feel like that is where my passion is, and that is where I thrive in those kind of situations. So because of that, I don't necessarily think I'm ready to give all of it up yet, but we'll see. They still have to accept me. So it's not just, hey, I want to join the reserves. And they're like, yeah, sounds good. Come on over. They have to, I have to apply, basically. So we shall see. And this video is already 17, almost 18 minutes long. So if you stuck through this far, I appreciate you. And yeah, just let me know if there's anything that you guys specifically want to know. I already know that you guys want me to talk about CCAT, and so I will make a video about CCAT. If you guys want something specific, or if there's specific questions that you have that I can, like, touch on. Otherwise, I'll just give you a general overview of what CCAT is, what we do. For those of you who don't know, CCAT is the critical care air transportation team that is a 3-man team that augments the ICU in the sky. So basically, we transport patients from the highest caliber of, you know, casualties or whatever the case may be. We transport the sickest, most wounded or terribly wounded patients to higher echelon of care. And so we pick them up from any location that doesn't have the capabilities to basically treat them, and we make sure that they are sustained in route, because we're in route critical care, and then we drop them off to bigger facilities. And so a lot of them are Walter Reed and SAMC in San Antonio, which I'm sure people will be familiar with, because you always, you know, you go through at Lackland and then you go to Fort Sam Houston. And so you're familiar with that hospital. So it's a bigger caliber hospital. So that's where we transport people. Or they go to LARMC, which is the bigger facility in Germany, to then be transported back to the States. So it just depends on what the mission is, what it requires, what the patient needs. But doing that was honestly the best thing. It was the coolest experience that I've had. And I really do miss flying every day. You know, I haven't flown in a couple months now, and it's sad. Like, I loved it so much. So, but anyway, I will wrap this up, and I appreciate you guys for watching always. And of course, your support, and just let me know if there's anything that I can do for you, especially while I'm still here, you know? Reach out to me, email me, whatever you need. I got you. All right. Bye, guys.